Hello everyone, so this is a video which is going to have no chainsaw work, no climbing work, nothing like that in it at all. It's literally just me talking for the next 10-15 minutes or however long this takes. So sorry if that's what you came here for, but it's an important video I just wanted to make because the last video that I put up last week, which was called Learning from Mistakes, got a lot of attention from people. The vast majority of the attention that I got across all the different groups on Facebook that I posted on was people going, yeah, there's stuff you could have done differently, and people giving some feedback and stuff, and a lot of people saying, been there as well, bro, like done that, messed things up, got things wrong, you know, learning from your mistakes. And some people were like, it takes kind of, you know, someone with some balls to kind of put a video on the internet of them getting something wrong. Some people took what felt like a bit of umbrage to it. Now, I'm not new to the internet. I used to moderate an internet cycling forum years ago, and you get keyboard warriors, you get people who get angry and stuff. So maybe me making this video now is completely unnecessary, but I felt like some people got really upset about it, and some people were like, what the hell are you doing? You know, you're dangerous, you shouldn't be doing that, you don't know what you're talking about. And there's a side of that which I really understand and appreciate, and there's a side of that I'd like to kind of address. The video itself last week, as I put in a very small post I put out the other day, I put that video out in between whilst my wife was having contractions to bring our daughter into the world, who was born at 9 o'clock on Monday evening. It's Saturday as I'm doing this now. I'm actually right now sat outside the hospital because my daughter had to go back in for some tests, so they're in there now. I'm waiting to see if a parking space is going to show up, but in the meantime I thought I'd film this video. But yeah, my wife was in, my partner wife, she was in labour for like 100 hours. So in between contractions, there was not a lot for me to do. And when she was having contractions, all I could do was rub her back and say, there, darling, you're doing great and stuff. And yeah, so I was like, oh, yeah, I've got to get this video out, because obviously, you know, having a kid kind of like took a bit of precedent. And so I edited the video really quickly, shoved a load of captions in it and stuff, and then I wrote a really quick post to go with it on Facebook, which when I look back at it now, sounded quite dismissive and maybe a bit arrogant. So I'm sorry about that, because I basically was like, oh yeah, there's not much I could have done differently or better and stuff, but you know. And what I did was, when I write those things, I don't actually write them out. I use Siri and hold the phone and just talk to it, so it comes out more conversationally. And I just didn't think about how that would sound, because it was like, I wrote it out, spell checked it, and then just posted it. And then, because literally then my wife was like, we got to go to the hospital. So we did. And, you know, I was in the hospital, didn't have any Wi-Fi for a while, and I came outside and literally I had loads and loads of posts from people. Again, most of them relatively positive, constructive criticism. Some people like, dude, you like sound like an egomaniac, or like, you know, you sound like you think a lot of yourself. So I just wanted to say I'm sorry for that. Like, if it seemed like I was, there are definitely things I didn't do right. Firstly, the whole thing about pollarding, which a lot of people have brought up and stuff, because I put on that video at the start, I said the plan was to pollard those two stems. Firstly, like, most of you are absolutely right. I was using that term relatively incorrectly. I think because it was explained to me not particularly well by other people. I'm just going to close that window because there's a helicopter landing next to me. I was basically taught that pollarding was like, you know, when you bring any tree down to a certain level, but leaving a load of it off the ground, leaving like a stump or a big high stem. I didn't realize it was more to do with bringing actual trees down so that they could encourage regrowth and stuff. And yes, that wouldn't work with a cypress or leylandii like what I was working on. The thing was, what I was, and what other people then were commenting on was saying, why didn't you just fell it from the ground? You had room to do it. And other people were like, you should have climbed higher. And what it was is I think there's a lot of context that was not put into that video, which made it harder for some people to understand. Because the farm that I was on was a friend of mine, Howard, and his dad also called Howard. They were like, basically, these two trees are splitting at the bottom. They're really pulling apart in high winds and stuff, but they're really useful for a laundry line that they had running across the garden and stuff. So they said, can you take them down, but can you leave 6 feet of stem sticking off the ground? And I was like, yeah, sure. Now, you saw how much the trees moved in that video, so I couldn't really lean a ladder against that. It was uneven ground, so I couldn't do it on a freestanding ladder. The safest thing to do really was to climb the tree next to it, ab down across it, and cut it from where I was, even though, as someone mildly patronisingly pointed out, I was only 6 feet off the ground, and I was like, yeah, I wasn't trying to be impressive or anything. And people say like, oh, you think, you know, people, I think some people kind of like, do you think you're a badass for getting thrown around by a tiny tree? Someone referred to it as a kid's tree. I was like, okay, like, I don't know what people were getting at with that. But you work on the trees that you get given. You know, last week I was up a very tall macrocarpa, relatively tall macrocarpa and stuff, working in really high winds, and that video will come out at some point soon, I'm sure. But it wouldn't have been possible to fell that tree any other way, really. Yes, I could have climbed higher, as some people say. However, the tree was moving around enough as it was. It was compromised by a crack in the bottom. I wouldn't have felt really unsafe climbing it, but there wasn't much point, really. I could just fell it from where it was. So that's what I did. Also, to be honest, and some people were saying you had loads of room in that garden, even if I'd felled it from right at the bottom, there wouldn't have been enough room. It would have hit the house. It's hard to see, I appreciate that, but yeah, it just wouldn't have worked that way. And in the next video that I'm putting out, there's actually, you know, you'll see me pulling the other tree over with a rope and stuff. Yeah, and the other thing a lot of people did bring up was my safety lanyard that I was using and stuff, which, yeah, absolutely. It's got a big old nick in it. I've been meaning to replace it for quite a while. It's a steel core lanyard, and I've checked it over and stuff, and the core is still intact and good. It's just the outer sheathing. And I've seen a lot of people climb on a lot worse equipment. I know you shouldn't, like, yeah, fair enough. There's people who cut corners just about everywhere, you know. In the UK here, it is, you know, when I did my course, it was the recognised thing to do is to climb with 2 ropes. That's, you know, what you should do. I've worked with a number of different really well-seasoned professionals. I've never seen anyone using 2 ropes. I've seen a lot of guys who are real professional who don't have rescue climbers and stuff. You're supposed to have that. I'm not saying like that because I do it or because other people don't follow all the rules, I shouldn't either. But it's a fair point. Yeah, it's, you know, it's not. I trust my life on that lanyard 100%. Because I know that it's just the outer sheath, which is not the weight-bearing part of it. But if it, you know, and also other people watching anything that I or any other tree person do on the internet should not look at that and go, oh, well, that's fine. I can climb on any rope-looking product that's got a nick in it because I saw that guy doing it. You know, it's not my responsibility for everyone else that watches one of my videos and goes, I'm going to go and do this, that, or the other. It's down to everyone to make their own decisions about what they feel like is safe and reasonable and stuff. So yeah, again, I'm sorry if people, you know, thought that was stupid or anything else like that, but I'm at the moment happy with it. But yeah, and then moving on to, you know, so the other thing I wanted to address in this video, which is basically like, who the hell am I? Because most of the other guys I see who do tree work and stuff like that, and girls as well, by the way, do this job full time, and I really don't. I am not a full-time tree surgeon, arborist, or anything else like that. I am, you know, qualified. I have all the qualifications and stuff, but I started tree work about 2 years ago when the pandemic started, before that, for 15 years, I worked in the events industry as a professional cyclist and demonstration rider doing shows and things. If you'd like to check out what I do, go to Cornwall Bike Trials on YouTube, which is a new channel I've actually just started of me showing off all the bike stuff that I do. So go and check out that if you want. But when the pandemic started, I needed a job that wasn't restricted by all of the coronavirus restrictions that happened, and events and mass gatherings, they weren't going to come back anytime soon. So I actually went into forestry originally in 2020, and I was working for this guy down here in Cornwall. And then what happened was, he said to me, because he was a tree surgeon as well, and I was doing groundwork for him, is he said, do you want to have a go at tree surgery? So I went up in a harness a few times and stuff, and I was like, some of it I was scared of, and some of it I felt relatively, comfy about. And I did that a few more times under like his supervision, and then he was like, dude, do you want to go and get your tickets and buy some kit and stuff, and then I can start sending you to jobs with the other guy as a ground worker and stuff. And I was like, I'm cool with that. So I went and spent about £2,500 on equipment and qualifications. Did about 3 tree surgery jobs for this guy, who then basically didn't offer me any more work. And I've asked him several times since I spoke to him. I said, have I done anything wrong? And he goes, no, there's work, but I'm just busy and blah, blah, blah and stuff. And there's other things, doing forestry stuff. And to be fair, I'm not going to mention whose name it is, but I was quite miffed by that. I don't think that's unreasonable that I'm a bit annoyed by it, because this guy literally was like, go and spend your own money to buy kit and equipment and everything else. Train yourself to be a tree surgeon, because I've got work for you. And then there was no work. So that really sucked. And I was sat there, I was just like, right, I've got all this equipment and stuff. What do I do? And mates of mine said to me, like, oh, do you want to come to our, farm and stuff? Or I've got a job, can you do this for me? And I've always just gone, right, well, I can do, I don't have a chipper or anything, but I can get stuff on the ground and make it nice and safe. So I go and do that. I don't bite off more than I can chew. I don't do things. I've walked away from as many jobs. No, I was going to say I've walked away from as many jobs as I've completed. I've probably walked away from 10% of the jobs that I've gone to. One was that big beach one where there was sudden limb drop and stuff. And that was like, I don't know what to do in that situation. I'm not qualified enough to understand the mechanics of how that works and what that tree is doing. But I essentially was just like, right, well, I at least want to make the money back from these, the money I've spent on these tickets and this equipment and stuff, which is why I started a YouTube channel as well, because I was like, I really, enjoy YouTube. I have a degree in broadcasting from the University of Falmouth. That's how, one of my first loves is making videos and doing stuff like that. So I'm really enjoying that. And but I've never really given YouTube a proper go. So I thought something quite specific like tree surgery, because I love watching people like August Hunneke and Jacob Rogers and Billy Ray and stuff. And I thought, well, I'll give it a go for a year and see what it's like. Because besides doing, now the events industry has come back to life and I'm doing stuff with bikes again. I've actually also just qualified as a counsellor and psychotherapist. So kind of like a shrink, but not a medical doctor. So I'm doing that as well. I'm also a co-steering instructor. I do lots of different jobs. The bikes are what have made me the money over all the years and stuff. But just having gone through all this time and effort, learning all the tree surgery stuff, because when I first started climbing big trees, even on my course, the first big tree that I got to the top of and stuff, I was shaking. I was really scared. I'm not scared anymore. And it took me a while to get to that point. And I thought, I don't want to waste all of this time and energy that I've put into doing this to, just sell all the kit and then, I can't sell my qualifications to anyone. So I figured I might as well carry on with it. So yeah, that's basically who I am and what I'm doing. Because some people have asked that. Some people have been like, do you so I'm only doing a job every couple of weeks, so I'm not progressing at the same rate as someone who might be doing it every day of the week. But I am working on it. I do want to improve. I do want to get better. And I don't want to give tree surgery, arborist work or anything else like that a bad name. So I'm sorry if it feels like I've done that at any point. But since this video went up, ironically, the video that I put up is one of the most viewed videos. Might not be a good thing because I know people just going, look at how dumb this guy is. And it's also got me over 300 subscribers. So that's really nice. And yeah, don't let me, like dissuade anyone from any illusions or anything. I am doing this because I want to, see if I can get a channel with 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, so that I can see if I can make some money out of it. Not because I'm just, desperate for cash. There's way quicker and easier ways to make that. I want to see if I can just do it and monetize something, and go from there and see if there is any growth available to it. So yeah, that's what I'm going for. So anyone who has liked and subscribed, thank you very much. If anyone else who hasn't would like to subscribe, I really appreciate that. I hope this video has gone some way to explaining who I am, what I do, and genuinely for me to say I'm sorry if it feels like I've done anything that's not like up to the standards that other people expect and imagine, or if they feel like I'm doing anything that's unsafe. I know it's a minority of people, because again, the majority of people that responded to this video were like, yeah, it's cool, dude. Like, made some mistakes, happens to the best of us, crack on and keep going. But to everyone who posted, even the people that, were really patronizing and were like, you're climbing kids' trees or you're being really egotistical or anything, I appreciate all the comments. I really, really do, because it's the only way that you learn, is from trying things and responding to people and listening and growing, which is what I'm trying to do. I've got to go in now because I think my daughter's hopefully ready to go home. But sincerely, thank you all again. There's more tree videos coming. I'm going to keep posting them as long as there's work and stuff to do. And yeah, any comments or criticisms on this video, please feel free. But thank you all very much. Climb high, stay safe, do all those fun things, and yeah, take it easy.